The menu strip control gives you the familiar Windows application menu that virtually every Windows application hosts, with full programmatic control so you can respond to menu events, you can change each menu item's visibility, its text, its icon, and whether or not it's enabled. To add a menu strip to your application, go to your toolbox, look in the Menus and Toolbars section, and simply drag and drop a menu strip onto your designer surface. Notice that there's two representations of the menu strip. There's a menu strip instance in our designer tray for our form, and then we can also have an interactive representation of the menu strip in design time here at the very top of our form, where the menu strip docks by default. So if we want to add menu items, all we need to do is start typing using our arrow keys to go either down or to the right to create kind of sibling menu items or child menu items. So here's another menu item, and if we wanted to create submenus, we can certainly just do that by moving on with the tab key and start typing more menu items and even more. So let's take a look at what this looks like whenever we actually run our application. We can access the submenus by simply hovering our mouse cursor over each of them. So it's fairly easy to create menu items using the visual tool, or rather the visual representation of the menu strip in the Form Designer. But there's actually a couple of other ways as well. If we select the menu strip and go to the Properties window, we can scroll down to the Items collection, click the little ellipsis button next to the Items property, and then we're able to work with the Items collection editor. So you can see our menu strip currently has one item in it. If we wanted to add another item, we merely click the Add button. This will create a sibling, or at least a child, to the menu strip. So we can call this second menu item and see where that appears. But what if we want to create submenus? Let's go back to the Items collection, click our second menu item, and then from the properties on the right-hand side for our new tool strip menu item, we'll go to the drop-down Items property and click its ellipsis button, which allows us to drill down further. Now typically we'll be adding just simple menu items to our menus. However, we have some additional controls that we can add to menus, such as combo boxes, text boxes, and if we want to group certain menu items together, we can also add separators. And these are just horizontal lines that will, again, keep menu items kind of grouped together. If we want to delete menu items, we simply use our mouse cursor to select one, hit the delete key on our keyboard, and it's gone. Let's go ahead and delete all of the menu items that we have. The menu strip has been dramatically improved in 2005 with the ability to insert those common menu items with a single click of a menu option. So let's go to and select our menu strip, and then use the little quick tasks arrow up in the upper right hand corner of our control, and then select the insert standard items, which gives us edit, file, tools, and help. And when we look at the sub-menu items, notice that not only do they have the keyboard shortcuts represented on the right hand side, but also icons. So we can use this as a starting point and then delete the menu items that we don't need. We can modify the properties of each individual menu item by merely selecting the menu item in the designer view and then going to the properties window, making the change to the appropriate property. So let's take a look at just a few of the more important properties. You can see first of all we have a shortcut key of Control+S. This is not just for display only purposes, as you can see here in the right hand column as it's displayed next to the save, but it's actually wired up then to the event handler for this menu option. So if somebody were to hit the Control+S key on the keyboard, you as a software developer don't have to do any additional work. The event handler for the save menu item will be fired off. Additionally, take a look at the text property. This is what's displayed to the user. Notice that there's an ampersand symbol next to the S in save. And the ampersand within a menu is what gives it that underline. But it also serves another purpose, and that is to allow the user to be able to work solely from the keyboard with your application. So if they hold down the Alt key on their keyboard, notice that the underlines will appear in your menu strip. I'm going to hit Alt F and then Alt S in order to invoke the save method. Also, this menu item has an image associated with it. You can see that we have an image property that we can change by clicking the little ellipsis next to the image property and then choosing a different graphic from our local hard drive or from a resource file if we had one already created for our project. And as we stated before, if we wanted this menu item to be apparent to other menu items, so if we needed to create a submenu under this menu option, we could simply go to the drop-down items collection and add additional items if we desired. Let's talk about the interactivity and add a couple of more menu items. This time we'll add a text box, which we'll just simply call sample text box. And then we'll add another menu item, and we'll just call this say it in the text. And now all we'll do is write a simple line of code that shows a message box with our sample text box.text property. So just want to show how we can access the individual items that are inserted into a menu strip programmatically. It's the same way that we would access them as if they were just individual controls, just like they were on the rest of the form. We also get full programmatic controls. You can see that we're going to write a bit of code beneath these three buttons. Let's look at how to disable a menu. We'll go menu strip 1 dot items, so we'll need to access a specific item, and when we do this, notice that there's two versions of this this accessor. We can use the index, which in this case we'll use 0, or we can use a key value. Now we haven't defined the keys, so we'll just use an index to denote the one we want. If we wanted to use keys instead to target specific items in a more exact way, then we would simply need to make keys for each of the menu items. There's a property for that. So let's just do this. Enabled equals false. And let's go ahead and change the menu item text again for menu strip 1 dot items 0 dot text equals new text. And let's run our application now. So you can see that we can change file to new text and then disable. It still works, but let's disable the menu item, and now it's grayed out. Now, why would you want to do this at runtime? Well, you might want to change the enable property and the text property for different states of your application, turning on and off or changing menu items based on what the user is currently doing within the application. Or you can manage state for the user by assigning different pre-configured menu controls at runtime. So let's do this. Let's go back to our designer view and let's toss on another menu strip onto our designer surface. Just call this the second strip. We'll just add one menu item there. Now, whenever we run our application, which of these two will display? Actually, it'll display both of them. But let's do this. Let's change this around a little bit. Let's say, for example, we want to only show this first strip at certain times and only show this other strip at other times based on what the user is currently doing within our application. So let's write some code to enable that. And it's as simple as just adjusting the visibility of each of the menu strips. So visible, equals true. Or let's make this false here. and menu strip 2 dot visible equals true, and in our form load, we'll make sure to initialize it so that menu strip 1 is visible and menu strip 2 is not. All right, so if we did this right, let's go ahead and run it briefly. So we have menu strip 1, and we can change out the menus at runtime. Great. Finally, let's take a look at another form that we have here to demonstrate how you can dock the menu control against different sides. So let's drag and drop another menu strip onto our designer surface. This time we're going to change the dock property to our left-hand side. We're going to type in some text. So here's menu item 1, and maybe we'll go here menu item 2 and menu item 3. Okay, and for each of these individual items, we're going to now set their alignment property. So let's go ahead. Whoops. What we want to do actually is change the text direction. There we go. To a vertical 270. We'll change this one to a vertical 270. And then we'll leave that one the way that it is. So now you can see that the menu items line up nicely against the left-hand side, and when we want to fly out, we can, and select the other items which are oriented in a horizontal fashion. And we did this using the text direction property. So as you can see, the menu strip control as well as the individual menu items provide a lot of configurability as well as being accessible programmatically.